When I came to, I opened my eyes. Big, beautiful sky. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon over there. And I'm like, geez, why am I looking at the sky? Holy shit, I'm on the ground? Whoa. My feet are backwards and I'm full of blood. To the left of me, the Humvee is completely ripped to shreds. We just hit a roadside bomb.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
I was like, geez, you know, maybe I should go too. Not even just my brother, but he was the big one, and my cousin Paul. I think those two were like the big guys. Like, I should go as well.
Because if you didn't go, they'd talk about you.
But like you said, God forbid something happened and you're not there.
You're not there. Yeah.
Do you imagine living with that regret?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, here I'm partying at college, and you get that knock at the door, you get that phone call, like, oh, I don't want to fucking deal with that.
Right.
You know?
I'd rather be in country. I guess I'm theorizing. I'd rather be in country if something were to happen. At least I feel like I can do something.
Yeah.
Right. You
the
know,
feeling of helplessness when you're not there.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
And I think too, it's man, I got to tell you, it's just something about that Iraq deployment, because obviously I did go. As you could tell, I'm getting up to that, but and it was the best decision I ever made. You know, I became an NCO. I became a sergeant. So I've taken on those leadership roles, learning more about myself, taking on that responsibility.
Dealing with young punks like you used to be.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But, you know,
payback.
I think it was like 3 or 4 months into that tour, I got promoted to sergeant. And, yeah, I started taking those roles of vehicle commander. And, but it was the people I was with. It made me see, I wanted to think about this. I joined the military for me. What can I get out of this?
Yeah, exactly.
Going to Iraq, I saw the big picture. This isn't about me. It's about us.
It was almost a selfish choice at first.
Well,
Absolutely.
I'm going in
Yes.
for myself. You know,
You nailed it right there.
what are they going to give me?
What were when you were over in Iraq? What were the comment? Like, where did you stay? Were you in a tent? Did you have pretty decent barracks?
We lived in like
Quonset huts?
not Quonset huts. Geez, it's oh my
I
goodness.
know what you're
talking.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's big trailers that like they
See,
were cants. Jeez, man, I can't even think of what they're freaking called now. But anyway,
what we have to do, Mike, is we have to get 3 acres is one of our sponsors. They're luxury condominiums in Jersey City. We got to get 3 acres to start designing the military barracks because that place is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
everybody's deployment is different. Like my unit was actually split in half. The 109th Infantry, half were in Ramadi, the other half were in Al Assad. They split the battalion right in half. I was in Al Assad.
Ramadi's where Chris Kyle was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ramadi was
a devil of Ramadi.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends were in Ramadi. Our deployments were completely different. Don't get me wrong; it's not like we saw danger, but they saw a lot more than we did.
Right.
I'll be flat out. Like my platoon, we had one Purple Heart, Gary Cienko, and his Purple Heart was their 7-ton. We were attached to Marine Corps, so we would use some of their vehicles and some of their weapons, and they were in a 7-ton. They hit a roadside bomb, and he was gunning the vehicle, and it was he got a ruptured eardrum. Like back to work the next day, no big deal. Yep.
Well,
Meanwhile,
did you see that roadside bomb by any chance? Did you see that your friend lost his hearing with? Did you see it?
no,
No.
no, I was actually not on patrol that day. So it was like sometimes we didn't need everybody on the platoon, but yeah, I mean when we heard it happen, and you know, what's the outcomes? Anybody hurt? And at the moment too, it just when they assessed their injuries after they hit that, you know, they realized one of his eardrums ruptured. That's you qualify for being combat wounded. Here's your Purple Heart, and you know, and it's just like a lot of these minor. And look, any injury is an injury, right? And I would never downplay somebody's injury, but Gary's like, he's like, whatever.
Yeah, those Purple,
you know what I mean? Like
that Purple Heart medal was made during World War II. So they made every Purple Heart, and this is what I read this plenty of times. Every Purple Heart medal that is given out today was made during World War II in anticipation for the invasion of Japan, because we knew if we invaded Japan, we were going to lose millions. So they started printing all these Purple Hearts, and they have so many in stock. Maybe it's different now because, you know, we've had a 20-year war, but I don't think so. I think it's still
really.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
it was crazy,
Interesting.
like stupid stuff in my head. Like I knew Slobodan because actually I almost named my first son Slobodan. You know, it's a family name.
Kevin is a wealth of like misinformation or just a wealth of
like
stupid
Wikipedia.
information. Yeah, exactly.
I will distract you with stupid information.
He'll say something like when he says slow it down. I'm like, what the hell's he come up with this shit?
Well, I don't know. My reaction, I stop and think for a second. I'm like, yeah, that was it. Like,
Slow it down.
when you watch that, you're like,
I even pronounced it correctly. I was so proud I pronounced it correctly.
You were called slow your whole life.
So throughout your deployment, you saw some crap. You saw some stuff.
It was minor. To be honest with you, like my first ever firefight was January 2006, and it's we're on Route Tampa going south, and we came to a security halt, and 4 vehicles were on a dirt road parallel to where we were, and they just started lighting us up, and we destroyed the fuck out of them. Like, not one person was injured on our side. 3 vehicles we just completely destroyed, and 1 actually got away, but we had air support because it was long convoys we had, like 11 military vehicles and 50 tractor trailers driven by third world nationals, right? So we need air support for stuff like this large. So that 1 vehicle that got away, air support took care of it. And that week is when I re-upped my contract. I'm not kidding you. And my gunner, he couldn't get a good view on those trucks.
You need to take a little bit more time on your decisions, sir. Because that's the second bad decision. No, I'm just kidding. Thankfully,
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
You probably sat there and said, "This shit is cool."
I'm telling you, I watched my buddy Bob Farrell. He was in the vehicle in front of me, and he had a 50 cal. He was gunning, and his 50 cal jammed. Instead of trying to figure out how to fix it, he reaches inside. Did you ever see Terminator 2? You know when we're at Skynet, and he kicks the desk out, and he starts shooting towards the cops with the minigun, and he runs out of bullets, and he pulls out an M79, and he blows up the 1 cop car. That's exactly what Bob Farrell did, my buddy Farrell. Like, I'm not kidding. He 50 cal jams. Here comes the freaking 79, blows up one of the trucks, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching right now? Like, and I think why like you're just pumped up on adrenaline. We blew those trucks up, and we just kept on going. Yeah. That was it. Nobody got hurt. There was nothing towards us, and it was just like, holy shit, is this just happening now? Like, my guys in Ramadi, my friends in Ramadi, it was a much different deployment. Like, August of 2005, one of the units takes sniper fire, and somebody gets killed. It was Staff Sergeant Billy Ostrom. I was in Bosnia with it. I didn't know Billy that well, but he was killed, right? And then
well, that's where Jocko Willink was. He was Task Unit Bruiser. And he tells a great story. They call it the wire because the wire. You go outside of the wire, you're in danger. Yeah, yeah. So. And then after that, there was and I'm leading up because there's a reason why I'm saying this. And then it was September 19, 2005. Billy Evans, Specialist Billy Evans. There, he's a driver for a Bradley fighting vehicle. Kind of looks like a tank track vehicle. He's killed in action after hitting that roadside bomb. And then 9 days later, September 28th, it was a big one. 5 gentlemen in the 109th Infantry, they hit a white phosphorus IED outside of Ramadi. Staff Sergeant George Puglisi, Staff Sergeant Daniel Arnold, Sergeant Eric Slobodnik, Specialist Lee Wiegand, and PFC Oliver Brown. Now, it's great that you say their names, by the way.
Absolutely. You have to, man. And it's just...
You got to remember.
I went on leave from Iraq. Like, we all got 2-week leave, and we choose to take it we want. And, I'll go home for 2 weeks. And, man, I got to tell you, it's the community. We're National Guard now, okay? This isn't 7 people in an active duty unit. This is all from the same area, little northeastern and central Pennsylvania, all killed in action. What is this doing to a community? Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, it's that much more impactful. And, yeah, it's just, it's heavy. And I just, some of the story of these guys, like Staff Sergeant George Puglisi, before I came here, I have a little beater vehicle, and I need to drop it off at the garage. His nephew, who's a good friend of mine now, Justin Merrigan, hey, I called him up today. I was like, Justin, would you follow me to garage and then bring him back to my house so I could take my truck to Jersey? Yeah, absolutely. But, like, I'm friends with all these people. They're my neighbors. Like, they're those who pass away.
Like I said, I mean, they were all from a close-knit, not a close-knit, but a close area.
Yes.
See, it was a different type of war because him and I remember Gulf War very, very clearly. We were actually of age. And I think they lost like 12 people, something along those lines in the initial attack. It wasn't anything significant. And then we see this war. And I don't know about you, Mike, but this is the way I thought of it. I'm like, you know, we're going to just destroy them. We're going to, you know, turn it into glass and all that, all those pro-American
Be in
stuff.
and out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll be in and out in a couple of weeks. And then you start seeing these deaths, and you start seeing it. And you start watching the news. And now all of a sudden you get what the people in the Vietnam era understood, reading the papers, looking for names. God, what a wake-up call.
You know, it's never ending, too. It's crazy to think that these conflicts, and I think one of the reasons, too, it's like we're not fighting the government. We're not fighting, I mean, we took Saddam out of power, but we still have enemy there, Al-Qaeda, and then when we pulled out, you know, ISIS just rolled right in. And in Afghanistan, we're dealing with the Taliban. And, I mean, you got to remember, the Russians lost to the Taliban in the 90s.
So that's an interesting question, and it's not American politics because we refuse to get involved in that. However, with Iraqi politics, when Saddam was caught and when he was hung, I'm like, yeah, all right, this guy's a son of a bitch. Let's hang him. In retrospect, it was probably the worst thing we ever did. That's my opinion, solely my opinion, because he was an animal. But so are these people that you're fighting right now.
Right.
Animals. And it takes an animal to govern an animal.
I want you to think about, have you, in our culture here in America, you probably know 1 million people with an American flag tattoos. Now, there's a reason why I'm saying this. Exactly. I see it right there. When you go over there, right? Well, first of all, why do we have these American flag tattoos? The pride that we have. Let's just say somebody invaded America. And I don't mean like 9/11 or Pearl Harbor, like actually boots on ground, like trying to invade Lower Manhattan, right? I would maybe Manhattan isn't the good example, but let's just say bumblefuck Alabama,
like a Red Dawn situation,
right?
Yeah,
I don't think it's the military. I think it's the everyday people like you and me that they should worry about.
Well, actually, so that's one of the things against getting American flag because then they see you coming. Yeah. That's actually you make a good point there. I may have to cover this. No, I'm not.
Well, my point is like
long sleeves.
There's so much pride in our country and the people. We love this country so much, and it's like don't fuck with us. Like yeah, we have a big badass military, but our people too. There is no passion within the Iraqi people. You'll never see somebody with an Iraqi flag tattoo or an Afghan tattoo. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah,
There is no. That's why when ISIS came in, the military after we gave the Iraqi military, we gave them all these weapons. We gave them FOBs. We gave them vehicles. But they don't have the heart like Americans do to fight for what's theirs. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. And you know, I think they have to go in the military over there, don't they?
I think they're conscripted. Like, you know, they used to call people during the Civil War conscripted. They weren't drafted. They were just like told, you know, you're going in the fucking military.
Yeah. So in the United States, you know, we haven't had a draft in a while, but the people in our military went in there pretty much for the love of the country. I correlate that to these other countries where you're almost forced to go into the military. It's like going to college. Right. So to them, that's like college. You know, you sit in college, you're like, oh, these guys are military. That's where they were expected to go.
You know, there's something to that with Iraq, but then you have a nation like Israel, and you have to go in the military in Israel. Israelis are very prideful of their country. So I think, well, one respect, you're right. There is no, like, you have to do it. It's just like a rite of passage. For Israelis, it's got to be the pride thing. It's got to be. There's
a little bit, and you know, these watered down words will say it, but there's a little bit of freedom over there in Israel. I think Saddam, with that iron fist that he had, like I love the movie. My favorite military movie ever is Three Kings.
Oh yeah.
And when it's like Saddam will kill us. You know, you hear the Iraqi military, Saddam will kill us if they take. You know, like they're living in fear over there. So now their dictator, guy with the iron fist, is gone. So we're gonna cure all of Iraq's problems by giving them democracy. Fuck no. They're not going to do that. Like, now it's like, I'm free. This country has done nothing for me except rule me with an iron fist and tell me what to do, or else they're going to kill my family. So why the hell, what are they fighting for now? Now that's gone. You know what I mean? Now that's gone. So here comes ISIS rolling in. Fuck this, I'm out. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
you watched it happen in Afghanistan, what, a year and a half ago. When we pulled out of Bagram before anything else, Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan. I was like, that's a fucking bad idea. I remember reading that article before we had the initial pull of the rest of our military. But Bagram is like I think every single human being that every American, I could be wrong, but like, let's just say 90% of military probably all going to Bagram first.
It's the hub.
Yeah, exactly. And they looked at Bagram was like a big, huge military base. It rarely got attacked. You know, you're saluting, which any other place in Afghanistan or Iraq, you don't salute. Like it's just you're in a war zone. But if you didn't wear your PT belt on Bagram, you're gonna get a fine from the MP. It's like it was like being
a peacetime military. Yeah.
Right. It was like being in garrison is what we call it. Yeah. You know, and but because I think all the traffic going there and how safe it was compared to all these other places, and once we pulled out of there, I thought this isn't good. And then, when we pulled our muscle out, the U.S. military, and left our vulnerable there, I got an interpreter there right now, and it sucks because I'm still trying to get him out of Afghanistan. But we pulled our muscle out and left them vulnerable there instead of doing it reverse.
That's the Three Kings situation. You know, these people.
Exactly.
Now you can never go
I didn't
back
even
in.
think about that. Yeah.
Now you can never go back in because you screwed these poor people who did help you when you were there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I want to get back to your deployment.
Sure.
All right. Your deployment, at some point, it goes south for you.
On this deployment, we ended up finishing, and I came home. Right.
Oh, this is
Iraq. Right.
Okay.
Okay. So, and I came home. I enrolled back into college. I got my 2-year degree at Lackawanna College. Then we got another warning order, another volunteer mission, and this was Afghanistan. And I raised my hand right away. I was like, okay, I just finished college. I got more education under my belt to use from the GI Bill, but where should I go next? What should I do? I was thinking about being a scranton firefighter. Like, what's next? And then this deployment for Afghanistan came up. It was with a different battalion, the 103rd Armor. They were looking for volunteers. I'm like, I'll do that. Joe, on the other hand, he was going to stay back. He's now married. And him and Stephanie, his wife, want to start a family. I get it, man. This is a priority.
Yeah.
And Joe asked me not to go. I was like, dude, we're going to be going back to Iraq a year and change from now with the 56th Brigade, a different brigade in the Pennsylvania Guard. We're going to be attached to them. How about we just stay back and do that together? I'm like, sorry, dude. Cut my cord. And off I went. And on this deployment to Afghanistan, we were part of what's called the Provincial Reconstruction Team, which is PRT for short. The PRT's job is we worked with locals in Afghanistan, local government, like small government, like village elders and mayors and stuff like that, helping rebuild parts of Afghanistan that the Taliban was destroying. We were in the Pt.2 province, in the capital, which is Gardez of this province, and like big thing we were doing over there is help renovate the hospital in Gardez with other projects too, like building schools, and we were just all over the province doing this stuff. My platoon's job, we were the security force for the core PRT. That core PRT was civil affairs, which had these one-on-one meetings with these local government. We had U.S. civilian engineers, so not even all of us were military. And it was a mix of branches as well. Like we worked a lot with the Air Force. My medic, Eric Jones, he was a tech sergeant in the Air Force. So a very unique mission from anything I've done. And every person, I got promoted to staff sergeant, and every person we would escort would be in the back seat of our Humvees or MRAPs, whatever we were driving that day. Every person except for one individual. This gentleman, his name is Major Scott Haggerty. He's a civil affairs officer in the Army Reserves out of Stillwater, Oklahoma. He resides in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I believe his unit's in Texas, though. And he just liked to be in charge of the vehicle he was in. He's in 04. He's a major. And, whatever, man. You want that job in that shotgun seat, barking orders? Have at it, dude. Tell you what, I'm going to be your gunner. And I put my gunner, Craig Rains, as a passenger in a different vehicle. Okay. This is a 4-day mission, a little town called Zormont in eastern Afghanistan, looking at a site for a school. And the final day out there, we're looking at this site for where we're going to build this school. And we had to take a different route back to Fob Gardez. I won't get too deep into reasons why, but less choking points, traveling faster on this new route we're taking. It was a route that we weren't familiar with, But looking at the maps, looking at our Blue Force trackers, anybody out there, Blue Force trackers, like our electronic GPS in the vehicles, looking at the map, it seemed a lot more safer, wider roads, just flying through us. Okay. And I remember being on the headset and saying to the crew of my vehicle, only the people in my vehicle could hear me on the headset, being that I was in the gunner's hatch. And I just said, who the heck's watering their grass in Afghanistan? Look at how nice this is there. Because this is, like I said, it's a new area none of us are familiar with. But my first time, any of us, I believe anyway, seeing this bright green vegetation in Afghanistan, like, boy, this is beautiful here, man. The next thing I remember, I saw nothing but black. You know when you put your head underwater and what you're hearing when your head is underwater, that faint noise, or like when you clog your ears with your fingers? Stuff like that. Yep. That's the best way to describe what I was hearing at that time. And I felt this momentum. And I remember saying to myself, in my mind, just saying to myself, feeling this tiny little momentum, what the fuck is going on right now? And finally, it was just a moment. When I came to, I opened my eyes. Big, beautiful sky. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon over there. And I'm like, geez, why am I looking at the sky? Holy shit, I'm on the ground? Whoa. My feet are backwards and I'm full of blood. To the left of me, the Humvee is completely ripped to shreds. We just hit a roadside bomb.